Early in my life, when I was living in an abusive home, I didn't have a voice. I was told not to tell and taught to lie about the abuse that I was suffering. And it was when I brought attention to this generational abuse that I finally felt powerful. Every time I spoke about my abuse in the format of my story, I healed and I got stronger and stronger. A group of moms asked me if I would come and do a public speaking course for middle school aged kids. My eyes were opened to how much these kids were impacted by these simple skills that they learned. I mean, within just a couple of sessions, they were walking in, standing up straighter. They were speaking out more boldly. Imagine someone in high school, even before they've applied for college, is an international speaker. They've been on the TEDx stage. They have a podcast and a book. I mean, if you really want your child to stand out, that's the way to make that happen, right?
Hey there, I'm Kaylin Wood, and this is Money Matters for Moms, the show where busy moms turn overwhelm into abundance. Each week we'll talk side hustles, saving hacks, wealth tips, and some energy tips to help make it all stick. Real tools for real financial freedom. No ramen required.
Today, we're here with Jackie Bailey. She works with clients who've experienced trauma and she helps them to break their silence and use their story to help others. She's the founder of the Speak, Feed, Lead project, which has put hundreds of kids and adults on global stages and podcasts. She's a TEDx speaker, the author of 6 books. Jackie, welcome.
Thank you, Kaylin. It's so delightful to be here.
Why has speaking been such a large part of your own journey?
Well, it's become a large part of my journey, whereas early in my life, when I was living in an abusive home, I didn't have a voice. I was told not to tell and taught to lie about the abuse that I was suffering. And that did silence me. And even to the point where I was afraid to initiate conversations. I felt very awkward and uncomfortable in social situations because I was always afraid I might tell something that I shouldn't. And it wasn't until I was an adult woman, 2 kids of my own, when one of the main abusers of my life had a child. Was a little girl. And at that time, I was compelled to speak up and finally break the silence because I needed to save that little girl that was in danger. And it was when I did that and I brought attention to this generational abuse that I finally felt powerful. I felt that there was a reason my voice should be heard and that, gosh darn it, I had something important to say. And that also started my healing journey. And I began to then find just the right words to tell my story, to explain it in a way that was inspiring to others. And every time I spoke about my abuse in the format of my story, I healed and I got stronger and stronger, to the point then where I made it a career in helping others through my voice.
That's fantastic. And so tell us a little bit about helping children get on stages to speak.
See, that's where I didn't realize that was going to be my career. But the more I shared my story and the more I realized the power of communication, an opportunity came my way. A group of moms who were homeschooling their kids found out about me. It was during this time when I was competing in an international speech contest and I became a little bit of a celebrity in my local area. And they learned about what I was doing and asked me if I would come and do a public speaking course for, I think it was 9 middle school aged kids. And I went, I guess I could do that. I know how to create a pretty powerful speech. I'm doing well in this competition, so sure. And it was then my eyes were opened to how much these kids were impacted by these simple skills that they learned. I mean, within just a couple of sessions, they were walking in, standing up straighter. They were speaking out more boldly. Their faces were just shining, and they were being able to deliver things about themselves that they'd never told anybody. And I realized, gosh, if I had had someone to mentor me like that, how could my life have been different in my younger years? And so that's when I realized I need to help more kids. And so I just started developing more and more courses, marketing them on my own. And before you knew it, I was filling all these classes. And then I found a physical brick and mortar location where I could open a public speaking studio. I did that in 2019. We became a nonprofit. And ever since then, I've had a for-profit business, which I started in 2007, and now the nonprofit and they work in tandem to give everybody voice. But during the pandemic, we really focused on the kids because they seemed to really need that extra oomph when they were taken away from their social life and their school and all those areas where they were finally starting to grow in themselves and their self-esteem, and we helped them to keep going in that. So we work with kids, but we also help adults. I work with women who've gone through trauma and those who are already entrepreneurs but who want to increase their profitability by getting their voices out there and talk about their message more and more, and they become professional speakers. And so our voice is it's our superpower. I've learned that through the years.
So the original group of kids that you were working with, were they trauma survivors or just kids who you helped to learn to speak?
I think in some ways, all kids are trauma survivors. I mean, I don't ask that question. Gabor Mate, who is an expert on trauma, he would say that trauma is not really the physical thing that happened to you. In my case, the sexual abuse that I endured, but it's how you feel about yourself because of it. That's the trauma. And with that in mind, when I say I feel like all kids are traumatized, I think everybody has been traumatized in some way. And so even though I don't ask people, have you been traumatized? I assume they have. And the skills that I teach them are going to be the same regardless. And they're always treated with kid gloves and love and courtesy and kindness. So our programs are for everybody. And I'm just assuming that everybody's traumatized. And this is one way to start the healing process, no matter what that's been.
Got it. Because, of course, speaking about their experiences helps them to move forward and also to
Sure.
let other people know that it's okay for them to take back their power and talk about it.
Absolutely. Especially during the pandemic, I think we could all say, yeah, I had some trauma there. I mean, when you just think about the stress of what is life going to be like? Am I going to be able to keep my job? What's my employer going to do? Or is the business going to close down? And the kids were taken all out of their routines without life experience to know we're going to get past this. It's going to be okay. It might look a little differently than it did before, but we're still going to be okay. And that's why I believe so many young people decided to take their lives during that time frame because they didn't feel that they could contribute to anything. Everything had been taken from them and they just couldn't see a way out. And I know that adults feel that way sometimes too. So that's why I say I think we've all been traumatized and we all need that extra support. And I found for me, it was using my voice that helped me to release the pain and the fear and the worthlessness every time I used my voice and I could see an audience being changed and people would approach me and say, thank you. Thank you for sharing your message. I've had a similar experience and now I know I can heal from this. Those are the kinds of reactions that I was getting. I know I'm not alone. We all have those experiences that we can share. And the way to heal from those is to eloquently speak our message so that other people can feel that they too can heal.
Not only can people heal themselves and inspire others to heal, but they also can create an income.
Absolutely. Like I said, I was leading a for-profit business that was a dental management consulting company. Although I was focusing on communication within teams of dental employees, but when I had this opportunity to teach the kids, I thought, wow, this takes me back to my early days and how as a child I needed this. And so my focus changed a little bit. The nonprofit came about because I wanted to be able to get into schools and they said, we can't talk with you unless you're a nonprofit. So that was the impetus for that. And I also realized that they had access to the kids who were already in programs for low income, mental health and things like that. So those are the types of kids we really wanted to help that couldn't afford our programs. And so now I have both businesses. And as I mentioned before, they work in tandem and it's an income. The key to any career is to collaborate with other people. And so when you can find people that you can affiliate for, who you can promote and they promote you, that's how industry works these days. It hasn't always been that way, but that is the key. And so your message is going to inspire their audience and their message is going to inspire your audience. And we can double, triple, even quadruple the impact that we make simply by sharing each other's talents, just like we're doing today. And it is entirely likely that you're going to be profitable when you make speaking either a part of the entrepreneurial career that you've already created, or you decide, I'm going to start sharing my voice, because it can be done either on stage as a keynote speaker or a trainer in a workshop or breakout type session at associations or corporations or schools, colleges. I mean, there's so many choices. I know people that are speaking on cruise ships. Wouldn't that be awesome? Okay, so you can be profitable that way, but you can also, if you already have a business that you're running, well, businesses have stories. And when you can connect more with your customers through stories and they feel that's why I want to support this company because I believe in what their mission is because of their story. Now you can increase your sales that way. Take a look at the big companies like Target and Home Depot. They now all have foundations, right? So they have their for-profit business and now they support a foundation. So they've seen too that when you have a story to share and when you are doing some philanthropic work, people are more likely to buy from you rather than your competitor who's not doing those things. So there are lots of ways to increase the income you already have or to start having income through using your voice.
And even kids can do this because you've been putting kids on stages.
Absolutely. I mentioned that there's about 10 of our students now who are #1 best-selling authors. They have contributed to a book, and so now they get to be entrepreneurs because they can sell their books. And we have book signing events at local libraries or bookstores or things like that. So they get an opportunity to talk about what they wrote about and why. They get to sign their autographs in their books and then they're selling their book to somebody. Many of our students have their own websites now, so they're selling their books for their websites and they're developing podcasts, so they're monetizing their podcasts as well. All the things that we adults can do. Imagine someone in high school, even before they've applied for college, is an international speaker. They've been on the TEDx stage. They have a podcast and a book. I mean, if you really want your child to stand out, that's the way to make that happen, right? And it's completely possible. And what a leg up they're going to have once they get out of college and start working at their own career or for someone else. I mean, they're just going to be legs and legs ahead of anybody else.
That is really exciting.
Yes, it is.
Jackie, it's been such a pleasure talking with you today. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate you letting me share my voice. That's what this is all about, is keeping people from being unheard. And thank you for hearing me today. I appreciate it.